Hey everyone, welcome back to our channel. We're the Movie Couple. I'm Dustin.
I'm Wendy.
And this is our review for Dungeons & Dragons Honor Amongst Thieves. Dungeons & Dragons Honor Amongst Thieves stars Chris Pine, Michelle Rodriguez, Rege John Page, Justice Smith, Sophia Lillis, and Hugh Grant. When a band of unlikely adventurers go on an epic quest to retrieve a lost relic, things go dangerously awry when they run afoul of the wrong people. As many of you know, Wendy and myself do dabble in the dark arts of Dungeons and Dragons just a little bit. We love D&D, we love watching Critical Role, we love tabletop board games, and I've been excited for this movie for a really long time. I've also been really nervous because the last D&D movie didn't really turn out very well. And I had this weird mixture of excitement, fear, anxiety, hope, and I've just been really looking forward to finally being able to see this movie.
Yeah, and I think everything that we were seeing leading up to getting to see this movie, as in trailers, TV spots, and etc., was hitting all the right notes as players of the game, having been involved in like TRPG style games. I was really hoping that they would capture the essence of the game experience for the players, that it's not serious, it's first and foremost fun. There's a lot of different characters, there's a lot of elements that go into it, and I was hoping that they would be able to capture all of that but make it easy to understand and entertaining for all audiences, so it's not necessary for people who you have to play D&D in order to enjoy this movie. And that was not the case with Dungeons & Dragons Honor Among Thieves at all. You can know nothing about D&D and go in and have a really great time, or you can have played D&D for years and go in and have a great time. That's exactly what I got out of my experience.
Yeah, because there is no limit of Easter eggs in this movie for anyone who has played D&D. They throw names left and right. They throw lore dumps. And I do have to admit, that is one thing that was, I think might be difficult for people who are not D&D players, is the fact that they throw out a lot of stuff to where I could see people who don't play D&D very often might get a little lost, because they throw in factions, they throw out names of different groups, they throw out kingdoms, places, locations, different things out there that you're just like, whoa, this is a lot. And I think they do, on occasion, they do a couple exposition dumps, but fortunately, in my opinion, I think they did the exposition dumps in a creative way to be able to make it not seem too much of a, all right, it's lore times, boys and girls.
Yeah, I think to kind of circle back into your thought of how you were worried it was going to be too lore heavy, we saw this in, I'm going to use myself as an example. For when I watched the very first, the Peter Jackson Lord of the Rings movie, I had not read the books at all. My friend was just like, you're coming with me, we're going to go see The Fellowship, and I was like, what is this? I was not really into, for some reason, at the time, I was not into fantasy. I was drama, action, horror, I was into that, but fantasy I never really went into. So she sat me down for that movie. I knew nothing of it, and I came out, I was like, what is this? I love it, give me more. And then years later, more recently, with Dune Part 1, had not read the book going in. I know that's sci-fi, but the same kind of, I think you can kind of adapt the same mindset where they were throwing, and especially with Dune, that was
yes,
terminology heavy, and it's sci-fi, and I was just I started to freak out in the middle of the movie. I was like, oh my god, I don't know what's going on. And then I reminded myself, take it easy, it is sci-fi / fantasy, it's all going to make sense, you're going to understand everything at the end. And at the end I was like, I got it, I understood it. So I feel like this movie, even though it may seem daunting, it's really not. It's because the cast and the story, the writing of it, I thought it was really smart, where they would say something and they would give a very light and quick explanation. So that kind of goes to your point of exposition, where they did it in a fun narrative manner, where you're not just like, oh, well, here he goes, the monologue of the character, but they make it so fun and funny. There's a little bit of a fourth wall break, just a little bit. It's not overdone, But it is, I was hoping for chaos, and I got chaos.
And that's to be expected too. If you've played D&D, when you play a game, there's a lot of chaos that happens in the game. And I think they walked that line very well. They kind of knew what they were doing, they knew what they wanted to be, and they didn't take themselves too seriously. There were moments that they actually did have some good, serious moments. And I have to admit, the way that they had this nice story arc and they wrapped it all up in the third act, I was like, whoa,
It's
okay,
like
it was
you're
chaos,
sitting there
chaos,
with a
chaos.
good DM that wrapped everything up in a nice
Yes.
bow, and you're like, yes, sir, well done. Yeah.
And I really liked, the third act, I think, is just where this movie
strongest.
really shines. And I loved how they do it. I think even if you're not a D&D fan, you're going to enjoy this movie.
Yeah, so it is, high fantasy, but it doesn't take itself seriously. There's a lot of fun to be had, but it does tug at the emotional strings. There's spell casting, and the effects of it, looks really cool for those who have, played D&D or know of it. You can kind of look at a certain way they were casting certain things or its effect, and you can go, it's XYZ. I don't want to say it just in case you guys haven't seen it yet. So you don't want to say it's spoilers, so you don't feel like we're spoiling it for you. So I really like that. I want to dive into the characters a little bit.
Yes.
Because our two main narrative pushing characters would be, appropriately so, the Bard.
Yes.
Played by Chris Pine, and we have the Barbarian, played by Michelle Rodriguez. I think the two of them play opposite of each other so fun, so well, that it makes it really fun to watch their dynamic. It's not like a black and white, he's straight-laced or she's straight-laced and the other one's chaotic. They're both chaotic in different moments, but the way they balance each other out is really cool to watch. And then we can add in our young sorcerer in Justice Smith and our tiefling druid in Sophia Lillis, who I have always loved her performance in movies. From the first time I saw her was in It. Chapter 1 and 2. Oh,
yeah, that's right.
And then I saw her in this one movie. They, buried this movie. I didn't think it was that bad. It was the Nancy Drew movie. She played Nancy Drew. She was fantastic in it.
Oh, yeah.
She was fantastic in it. So I'm happy that she is in the D&D movie as the druid, and, the stuff that she gets to do is really cool.
And I do have to admit, that is one thing that does shine in this movie, is the fact that the ensemble cast, their interactions, the way they riff off of each other, just like in a real D&D game, I think was done very well. I did enjoy seeing the banter back and forth between all four of the main group. And then we have
Hugh Grant. We have Hugh Grant, who serves a very important purpose in this story. I won't spoil it for you. When you go and see it, you will find out. And then the character that you want to talk about.
Yep, of course, Rege did an amazing job on playing a lawful good character. I mean, when you think of a lawful good, very handsome paladin, the only thing that they didn't put in there was the
it was implied.
Moment. It was implied. And there were a couple moments where you just felt the entire room, men and women,
everybody
just go, oh, Rege.
It's just the charm, just charisma +2.
Yes,
plus
exactly.
3.
The super charisma.
All the bonuses. No, I think it's a lot of... I like that they... Again, for the D&D players who would pick this up right away, the alignment of the paladin, lawful good, but Rege played it so well, but it's not without humor. You think, lawful good, that's, just follow everything we do everything by the book, and you're always, aligned only for things that are good and justice and etc. That could be boring, but no. When he would enter a scene, it made it even more interesting, particularly when he is interacting with all the other characters who lean a little bit more neutral chaotic.
Yeah.
Or chaotic neutral.
I love seeing those moments where they did butt heads, and I just loved seeing these guys' interactions.
Yeah, the creatures are cool. If you've seen the trailer, this is not a spoiler. If you haven't seen the trailer, this part is a spoiler, so mute us for the next 10 seconds. We get Displacer Beast, we get a Mimic, there's gelatinous cubes, all the things that you've seen in the trailer, and then there's a couple other things that when it played out in the film that were we thought this spell was this, but isn't actually, this one. And so overall, I had a really good time. I think you hit the nail on the head. The third act finishes the movie super strong. Like, it kind of starts off, because you got to build the world up. And I feel like that's what first act was. The second one was setting up the arcs for the character and the conflict. And then the third is the big finish.
And then wrapping everything up.
Yeah, absolutely enjoyed the movie. So with that, we're going to go ahead and give our rating for Dungeons & Dragons Honor Among Thieves. If you want to check out the movie rating system, because it's a little bit different. We don't go by numbers or alphabets. It's just listed in the video description below. I would rate this movie. I had a lot of fun watching it. I think it's going to be fun in the theater with an audience. Because there's a lot of big belly laugh moments, and those are really, really great. So I would give this movie a check it out.
I'm right there with you. I enjoyed this movie. I thought it was fun. There are little things that I think I would have liked to have seen tweaked or added or changed.
Is that a spoiler if you say what you want to say?
Well, I'm not going to say it.
Oh, okay.
That's the whole thing,
I
because they are spoilers.
Because it's a good point.
So, I really wish they did a couple things. If we talk about it or if we do a spoiler review,
yeah.
I'll definitely be discussing them. But overall, I enjoyed it. I want to go see it again.
Yeah.
I'm going to say check it out. And if you guys like our reviews here on the channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of the videos coming out on our channel. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video.